YouTube and hello Ninth Age community. This is Charles Evershade Gaming, and I've got another Ninth Age battle report. This is round 2 of Forest City Fracas, my Ogre cons versus some Vampire Covenant. Let's get into it. I got to play against the excellent Justin Kane, who had one of the coolest armies I've ever seen. It won Best Painted at the Forest City Fracas, and it was this incredible VC army where every single miniature, I'm talking about every single skeleton, was slugging through some swampy water on their way to crush me. And his centerpiece of his army was this incredible zombie dragon that just looked so excellent, had so many cool details, and this army was a delight to play against because I'd be getting up and close, taking pictures, looking at the models, and I'd look in the resin pores, and you just see cool things like little zombies floating in the water, hands reaching out of the dirt under the water. It was an incredible army and very, very fun to play against. Very cool looking, very well painted, on a top of well modeled. You can tell Justin has put a lot of heart and soul into this army. These are the spells for his Vampire Master, Vampire Lord on a dragon, and he's got a Vampire Courtier who's got just a couple spells, one for Evocation and the Rise. And here's my deployment. Justin won the roll for deployment, so he took the side with a big impassable to hide behind, and I decided to just go for first since I got lots of shooting. So I put a dog down, a thunder cannon, some bombardiers, one of my scratapults, my big block of tribesmen with my Great Khan, my BSB, and my Paramancy Mage in it. And then I put my 4 bombardiers next to them, another cannon, another scratapult, and another pack of tribesmen with my Thaumaturgy Mage. I tried to spread out my magic. And then here is Justin's deployment. So he's got his Vampire Knights. We played Dawn Assult, so that's why we're a little tucked in. But he has his Barrow Knights with his Vampire Courtier facing straight ahead, so they're going to go kind of around that impassable piece. Then he's got some dogs, huge block of skeletons, another huge block of skeletons, another pack of 8 dogs with champion, 2 bats, 3 winged reapers with paired weapons, his gigantic zombie dragon hidden behind a hill, and then another pack of skeletons and another 5 vampire knights. Here are our vanguards and our scouting. I was able to trap the field with my scrappling trappers, and then we just sort of started turn 1 here. And turn 1, I just sort of make a charge. It was probably like a 14 or 15 inch charge. I want to say it was like a 9. I don't know if it was slightly risky. I figured I was either going to have to shoot them, or I was more than happy just to take them out with combat and get my big scoring block on the objective. And then otherwise I chaff up the other unit of dogs so they can't go after one of my artillery pieces. Yeah, just hoping to just eliminate those dogs with the bombardiers next to them. So we'll see how that goes. And the magic, I get the Rod of Battle off and Flaming Sword on my bombardiers on the right here. They're going to shoot the Winged Reapers. I want to say they only do a wound or 2. It's nothing terribly impressive. And shooting-wise, I don't want to say I do a whole lot either. I think I shoot a cannon at the Winged Reapers. I think I shoot a cannon at the Knights. I want to say one of the Scratapult hits the Knights and does a few wounds, which is nice, but not a whole lot else. I whip up the dogs in combat, of course, and then his turn 1, he surprised me by charging these Winged Reapers in. And he actually lines it up so that he can put a bunch of attacks on my Shaman, which I was definitely not thinking about. And maybe a little nervous going in. These Winged Reapers are a really cool conversion too. They actually are, I think, some of the Sylvan Elf tree dudes. It's quite impressive. It's almost hard to tell. They look like an original kit. They're such a cool conversion. He does charge these. I did not wipe out all his dogs. The zombie dragon comes out to play since he has an interesting possibility to really smack down on my big block of tribesmen if these Winged Reapers do some nasty damage. And they do some nasty damage. They just blow through my Shaman, which was disappointing. And I think he kills another Ogre at least with the other one. And then the tribesmen and the BSB go, they kill 2. And then he's able to pull that my Great Khan can't fight and he actually, I think, wins by 1, with like a charge and um, a decent amount of wounds, or maybe he just takes another wound or something like that. But yeah, he's sticking there. Somehow this sticks. Don't know how, but it did. And then we go into my turn 2. So, being tied down in the middle there, I am able to pick up the objective, but or one of the objective miles for spoils. But then I decided to charge my bombardiers into his big skeleton block. It was a bit of a long charge, but I was able to make it, because I figured if that block is not tied up and that thing comes in with his zombie dragon, I'm really gonna be in for a world of hurt. Even if it's just skeletons, they're just gonna provide all the ranks and combat bonus to break me on top of his vampire zombie dragon. I charge my bombardiers into those winged bats just to get rid of them because I felt like the shooting wouldn't do it. The scratapults are going to try and whittle down these gigantic skeleton blocks, and the cannons are going to try and hit the zombie dragon this turn. In Magic, I'm able to get Children of Umi off on my big block in Rod of Battle. I'm kind of down on spells because I lost my Pyromancy guy, so I only have 2 Thaumaturgy spells and Children of Umi and the Rod. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not great. The close cannon that was hitting on a 3-up 1s and 1s, so he's out of the game for shooting wise. And then nothing else in the shooting really turns up this turn. The Scraplings win their fight with the dog, which is just quite a testament to their ability and power. And then going into his turn 2, I make quite a fumble here. The tribesman killed the rest of the Wing Reapers. No worries about that. Had a ton of attacks. This is going to happen. Then the Bombardiers stuck, kind of barely, because he has some serious combat res in that against that big block of skeletons in the middle. So I was able to turn to face his dragon, gave him the opportunity to fight my Great Khan if he wanted it. He decided he didn't want to. No, understood. D3 wounds, rank 7. It's kind of scary. He decides to charge my cannon, or he decides to charge my bombardiers, and I decide to flee. And I think at first I thought I was going to be on the other side of the impassable and he couldn't see me. But once I had moved, I realized, oh, he could easily see me. I'm like sticking out. And he was able to. He had to charge his my cannon too, and he charged both of these, made them both flee, and then he caught the bombardiers. But then he failed his redirect. So kind of good, kind of bad. And that's how the rest of his movement looks like. He also makes a longer, like 10-inch. I think you need a 10 or a 9 on the dice or something like that, maybe only an 8. I don't know. Decently longer charge to get those skeletons into my other tribesman unit, which is not great, but not the end of the world. I actually, now that I think about it, I think I had been working on these Sparrow Knights with some shooting and some magic, and I'd done some wounds, but they just about all of them come back right now with an arise. And then going into my turn 3, my tribesmen are able to win the fight against the big block of skeletons. Some decent rolling on my part. I make a long bomb charge over here. I needed a double 6 on the die, and I made it into these Vampire Knights with my big unit, because I figured if I just look at his his Great Khan, or if I just look at his dragon, he's just going to fly away. So I decided, let's try and go in this direction. I need to stop him from picking up one of the tokens over here anyway, and make a long charge. So it was cool. And I also multi-charged the big skeleton block with a Scratapult and my Shaman. That's kind of been out roaming on its own. Yeah, and as you can see, I had those 2 Bombardiers that were fighting the skeleton block in the middle, but they broke and they started to flee. They got beat up really badly by skeletons. I shoot the cannon over here, and I get 3 wounds, which is not a nice start. I rolled a 1 on multi-wound, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it's something. I'm able to get the Rod of Battle off, but that's it magic-wise. And then this is continuing to go surprisingly well. I'm making a decent bit of armor saves on my 5-ups. and he's just not rolling all that well. And we're kind of slowly making our way through these skeletons. You just gotta be careful of those barrow guard. And I was able to reform in a way that if he did want to charge my tribesman, he'd only get to put one guy, his vampire courtier, in there, which is not bad, but I do have a lot of skeletons I still can kill. On his turn, he just charges off the thunder cannon, and then that's pretty much about it. He couldn't really see much else. And this is what the rest of the battlefield is looking like. He decided not to charge the tribesman. He was a little bit worried about, with all the combat res I might be generating, losing a bunch of knights and just kind of getting stuck there himself. So he decided not to do that. He went for a long charge on my Scratapult. I think he needed like a 10, and he failed it. He's able to get an Arise off. He's able to get a Pentagram of Pain off. And he's able to use the Necromantic Staff. He actually pulls all the wounds off his dragon in one go, which was really impressive. I had to stop a couple other Arises on the big skeleton block, but that did end up letting those ogres beat those skeletons in combat, so that was pretty big, I felt. And then in my turn, I pretty much clean up another unit of skeletons. I just kind of move my shooting around, and I'm trying to maybe set up my my units in the middle to charge the other skeleton block. I get a cheeky Hand of Heaven off here that does 3 wounds to his dragon. I get the Rod of Battle off just for kicks and giggles in this combat against skeletons. And then the cannon hits once again. This time it was on a 5-up because I had to move. And I do the rest of the damage on the dragon. And there it goes. And we just called it at this point. Or my opponent called it, and I was okay with that. We were kind of going back and forth, but he could probably pick up a few more points. But he said, "Nah, that's pretty much it once the dragon goes." And I said, "Okay, fair enough." And this is just some more shots of his army. Just really incredible miniatures. This game ends up being a 20-0 to me, which was a nice big win. But it was really just some lucky hot dice on my part. And there was so many parts in this game where it could have gone terribly wrong, but had the right dice for the right moments. Thanks for watching, everybody, and see you soon with another 9th Age Battle Report.